Hey everyone, Tim Schofield here. Now that the new iPhone 14 Pro is out, I wanted to take a closer look at something that sets this phone apart from previous designs of iPhones. Now, instead of going the route that Samsung started going with their foldables with that under display front facing camera, they've actually went with a new notch that they're calling the dynamic island. After using the iPhone 14 Pro, I wanted to talk a little bit about that dynamic island, some really cool implementations with applications and software, but also some things I think that can be improved upon going forward. I will also have a video coming up shortly on my full experience with the 14 Pro, so stay tuned for that. But anyways, let's dive into that dynamic island and see what's so cool about this notch up towards the top. Let's begin with that dynamic island up towards the top. Here it is on the Pro and the Pro Max. I wanted to point out that it's the exact same size on both of these phones. So yes, you'll get more screen real estate out of the Max, but also that notch is the exact same size on these phones. So you'll get even more screen real estate out of the Max because of that. To begin, here's a few quick examples to show it in action. When you use the switch on the side, it will go from ring to silent, but a nice little animation. Also, if I grab my wireless charger here and put it on, charging, low battery, gets a notification. Also, Apple, look at the difference between this icon. You'll see it just has a number in it, but even if it was at 40, it would be completely full looking. But look at what they do when this animates. They have an actual battery going a little bit lower so you can visually see how much charge it actually is. So hopefully that icon will come up towards the top. Another example is voice memos. You'll notice I have it running up towards the top, and if I press and hold on that island, it will just bring up a little bit of a larger icon showing when I talk. It actually is showing when it detects voice, the amount of time, and I can just quickly stop it from up towards the top. Check, complete, it is saved. Another example is a timer. Watch the little animation when I swipe up towards the top, just kind of pops it on out. You can do the same thing. You can press and hold, shows more about the timer pausing or canceling it. Nice that it does have the numbers so you can really see how much time is actually left. But now what happens if I have two apps open at once? So if I'm playing, let's say, a song here, let me turn that down and swipe up. Now there's two things going on. So you'll notice the album art is right there for the song and the timer is right there. You can tap on either of them. So you got to be a little more precise tapping on this one. But then once you are in this app, it will bring up those sound waves for the actual song that's playing. Swiping back up will pop out both apps. So there is an option to have those many apps going at once. Kind of cool that it allows for that, but also you can press and hold on specific icons to see more. Now, that's one thing I'm a little conflicted of. If I just tap, I almost don't want to go into the app. I kind of wish tap was bringing up this little shortcut widget here, and then pressing and holding would go into the actual app. I almost think that would be flip-flopped. I understand why they don't do that. It's more of a tap to go into the app, press and hold to bring up that quick shortcut. Now, I haven't actually tried this yet, but I have Spotify playing that timer, and I'm gonna go to screen recording and start recording the screen. So just seems like that doesn't do anything up towards that dynamic island. I haven't actually tried this yet, but now you'll notice there's that screen recording popping up once I go into one of the apps. So now if I close out of that timer, it looks like the timer just takes over that screen recording. I don't know how it prioritizes it, but now if I cancel that timer, you'll notice screen recording and Spotify up towards the top. So I'm not too sure, maybe it's whatever's running first. So now if I start a new timer, I'm curious to see if that takes over. It does. So I don't actually know how they prioritize what icons go up towards the top when there's three or more apps going on at the same time. Maybe Apple just has put a priority list on there. One of my favorite uses of the island up towards the top is when you get a phone call. You remember when it used to take up the entire screen when you would get a call? Now take a look at what you get. Just animates up over on top of the app, right there out of the dynamic island, shows you who is calling. You can tap on it to go to the full app, but I'm gonna answer it right up top. And then if I press this, I can choose speaker or iPhone. It went away even though I was interacting with it. I don't know why it did that. But now, take a look up at the top. You'll see there is a red and a green sound wave. So now what I'm gonna do is mute myself. And you'll notice only the green sound wave comes. So anyone talking incoming, it's going to show up green. But when it's me talking into the microphone, it shows up red. So when there's two people talking at once, it'll sound wave. Not that you really need this. Don't get me wrong. It's not necessarily something that's you need on your phone, but it's just a nice, really cool, clean way to see your conversation. It's not necessary, but it's just intuitive and really neat that it does that. It shows you how long it has been on the call for. If you press and hold it, it will bring up that little widget where you can switch it to speaker or iPhone and call, or if you tap on it, it will go into that full application. Something else really exciting is to see how developers are going to integrate the island into their apps. It's already starting. There's an app in the App Store called Hit the Island. As the name suggests, it's a Pong-style game where you use a paddle down at the bottom and a ball is on the screen, and the goal is to just hit the island up towards the top. You'll notice an animation with the display, but it just shows that some people are going to be very creative with it up towards the top. You just get a high score. It's not necessarily a very intricate game, nothing crazy going on. It is as it says, but it's not as easy as it looks. It will get harder. It'll get faster, and I believe you'll get more balls that actually will pop out to hit towards the island. But yeah, you just hit the island up at the top. And here's just another example of just how it can get more challenging with this game. But yeah, drop a comment. Let me know what your high score is if you've actually played this on your iPhone. It is in the App Store, just called Hit the Island. Not only can it get integrated into games, but there's an app called Apollo, which is a Reddit client. But if you'll look very closely up at that dynamic island, look at that. I've got a little pet dog. You can choose between a few different animals that will just hang out with you. Up towards the top, it'll sleep. Just while you're browsing the app, it'll walk along the island. There he is walking up towards the top of that island, but it's called Pixel Pals within the app. Dynamic Island Zoo with a group of different types of animals like a hedgehog, fox that you can choose from. They have different names as well. So just a neat, obviously nothing too crazy, but just a cool creative way to use that space up towards the top. And just for my own benefit, for fun, I'm going to have two apps open, Spotify and that timer. And let's go into that Apollo app that I showed off earlier. And there he is. That little guy can hang out on top of the Spotify app, even though that there's two apps running at once. So he will still show up. So there's three actual things running at once on top of that dynamic island. There's also little subtle things that you may not even think about. For example, if your focus mode switches, it will animate. This one's a little clunky. I did that on my MacBook, but you'll look at the timer, the time on that one. If I switch it to Do Not Disturb, it animates, but the clock just kind of jumps. So that one's just the one that I noticed was not very smooth. But also, if you have your AirPods and those get connected, so there it is, letting me know that the AirPods are connected to my phone and that little battery status. So let's do that again. Going to the lock screen, animates that Face ID unlock, and then it shows that's the battery percentage up towards the right there. So that's really nice. I want to see if I can actually interact with that. I haven't tried that yet. So let's see if I can interact and tap on it. I can. Okay, so that's really cool. So just little subtle things that you can still interact with. So it's not just showing you, but that would be really cool to have for messages. It would just pop up, maybe show who it's from, maybe a little line of messaging and that I could tap in and interact with. AirDrop's another nice one. It won't interrupt what you're doing. So I'm sending an AirDrop from my laptop now. Just a little notification. You do get a vibration feedback, but it just opens up, shows what it's doing, and then closes out. Obviously, it will open up whatever picture or video you get sent. Going forward, I'm sure you'll see apps like DoorDash, Uber Eats, Lyft, Uber, all of them integrating it. So while you're waiting for a delivery or a ride to show up, it'll let you know how far away they are without having to go into the specific app to see. Face ID has an animation when using it within specific apps. There it is, just kind of pops on down and says, hey, we have an app downloaded. We used Apple Pay. It's scanning your face. When you log into your banking apps, it will show that animation. Obviously, a little bit different than when you are just on your lock screen with the little padlock that unlocks, but it's nice because then with it being up top, you look towards the camera. Before it was in the middle of the screen, so your eyes were towards the middle of the screen, but now it makes you look up towards where that camera is. And like I said earlier, it's not perfect. I really do hope they add some new features up towards the top, specifically ones like, I just texted myself, when notifications come through, it doesn't interact with the dynamic island. Look at that. It just kind of goes below it, which is very confusing. It's almost like, hey, why didn't that just interact with it like all the other notifications and things that are utilizing that space up there? Just seems like a little bit of wasted space. So hopefully going forward, things like messaging and just other random notifications come through with the island. And finally, something I'm really excited about is live activities, which are coming to the iPhone very soon to show not only on the dynamic island, but the lock screen as well. Just ongoing notifications with something like a sports score, maybe a food delivery, just various things that are ongoing and changing over time, and sports scores being a big one. Here's just a quick picture example. I believe it's on iOS 16.1 beta right now, so expect that one very soon. Just keeping it updated with the score, which doesn't just have to be soccer, can be any sport whatsoever. So overall, that's it for me on that new dynamic island. I hope you enjoyed the video. Be sure to subscribe. A lot more content coming soon on the iPhone 14 Pro. Be sure to give this video a thumbs up, and as always, thanks for watching.